My name is Lydia Carver, and I'm 34 years old. From the outside, my life probably looked like the human equivalent of a beige sofa. Practical, sturdy, nothing to write home about. My bills were on autopay. My retirement account had its own color-coded spreadsheet. I knew exactly which grocery store had the best sale on coffee every other Thursday. If stability could be bottled, I'd have had it stacked in labeled bins in my pantry. I used to believe that made me safe, that if I built a life on routine and quiet, the universe would see the effort and leave me alone. Then my fiancé made a joke about me, and my whole sense of safe shattered in about 10 seconds. Dylan Hayes and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 7 months. We met at a fundraiser my friend dragged me to, a chaotic mix of cheap wine, silent auctions, and people pretending they understood modern art. I was there in a sensible dress and practical shoes. He was the charming one in the navy blazer, laughing too loudly at the board members' jokes and somehow pulling it off. He asked if I wanted to get a drink somewhere less pretentious after the event. I said yes, against every cautious instinct I'd carefully cultivated. We talked until the bar closed. He told me I made him feel grounded. I told myself he made me feel awake. He was 32 now, worked in marketing, which seemed to translate to perpetual happy hours and networking that inexplicably happens at midnight. I was a project coordinator for a logistics company and thought being up past 11 on a weeknight counted as reckless. 18 months into dating, we moved in together. After 3 years, he proposed with a ring he'd picked out himself and a speech that made everyone at the restaurant cry. He called me his safe harbor and the best decision I ever made. I believed him. Until the Saturday game night. We'd invited a handful of his friends over, people I liked well enough, even if I still felt like I was on a long-term job interview with them. Our apartment wasn't big, but I had it cleaned within an inch of its life. Candles lit, snacks arranged in little bowls like a lifestyle blog had personally threatened me. By 10 p.m., the living room was loud with laughter and the rustling of card decks. I slipped into the kitchen to refill the snack bowls, grateful for a few seconds of quiet. The kitchen opened to the living room with a half wall and a breakfast bar. I could hear everything, but the angle meant they couldn't see me. One of Dylan's friends, Jordan, the loud one with the permanent baseball cap, asked, "So man, how's wedding planning? You freaking out yet?" I heard Dylan laugh, not his real laugh, the one that crinkled the corners of his eyes. This was his performance laugh, the one he used when he wanted to be the entertaining version of himself. "I mean, it's fine," he said. "It's good. Just, you know." Someone else chimed in, a woman's voice I didn't know well. "You know what? You're marrying Lydia, right? She seems like the safest bet in the world." Safe. The word slid over my skin like ice. Dylan sighed, exaggerated and dramatic. "Yeah, she is. Lydia's great. She's stable, reliable, gets things done, but she's also kind of emotionally slow." My hand froze on the chip bag. There was a beat of uncomfortable laughter. "What does that even mean?" Nate asked. "I mean," Dylan continued, "I have to spell everything out. I say I'm stressed, and she's like, okay, let's make a plan. My ex, Cassidy, she just got me. She understood me better in a week than Lydia ever will. We just clicked on this deeper level, you know?" The kitchen seemed to tilt. Someone whistled. "Damn, then why aren't you with her?" "Because Cassidy was a disaster in literally every other way," he said, amusement dripping from his voice. "Couldn't hold a job, constant drama, moved across the country without telling me until she was already gone. She was chaos, but emotionally she got me. Lydia tries, but it's like explaining color to someone who's colorblind. She just doesn't get it." The room went quiet. I could hear the faint buzz of the refrigerator over the silence. Then a friend said hesitantly, "Does Lydia know you feel that way?" "What's the point?" Dylan replied. "You can't teach emotional intelligence. Either you have it or you don't." My fingers dug into the chip bag so hard it crinkled like breaking glass. I stood there, breathing carefully, while my fiancé described me as some sort of emotionally defective consolation prize. The safe harbor he'd praised in his proposal had apparently become suffocatingly dull. I poured the chips into a bowl with hands that didn't feel like mine and walked back into the living room. Dylan glanced up. "Hey babe, you're a lifesaver," he said, giving me a quick smile before turning back to the game. "No problem," I said, surprised that my voice sounded normal. I played the rest of the night like a role I'd rehearsed. The good sport, the attentive host, laughing when everyone laughed. Inside, something brittle had cracked. Every time Dylan brushed my shoulder or leaned in to whisper a joke, all I could hear was emotionally slow, colorblind. His ex understood him better in a week than I ever will. The party finally thinned out around midnight. There were hugs at the door, promises to do this again soon. I gathered empty glasses while Dylan walked the last guest out. When the door shut, the apartment felt abruptly too quiet. "That was fun," he said, stretching. "Your turn to do dishes, right? I think I did them last time." "Sure," I said. "You okay?" You got kind of quiet toward the end. I stacked plates, my movements slow and precise. "Yeah, I'm fine." He stepped closer. "Lyd, come on. You look like you're about to audit my soul. What's up?" I looked at him, really looked at him, the man who called me safe, reliable, and then told his friends I'd never understand him. "I heard you," I said. He blinked. "What?" "In the kitchen," I clarified. "I heard what you said about me, about being emotionally slow, about Cassidy understanding you better." His face went completely blank for a second, like someone had hit pause. Then he tried for a chuckle. "Oh, that. I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" I asked softly. "I was just talking, you know how it is with friends. Exaggerating, telling stories. It was a joke." "You told them you wonder if you made the right choice," I said. "That your ex got you on a deeper level than I ever will." "You're twisting my words." "I'm repeating them," I said. Pretty much verbatim. He exhaled through his nose, annoyed. "Okay, yes, I said some stuff, but I'd had a few drinks. Everyone was talking about their exes." "You had 2 beers in 4 hours," I cut in. "You were not drunk." Dylan's jaw tightened. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Everyone compares their current relationship to past ones sometimes. It doesn't mean anything." "It means you're settling for me," I said. "It means you're still holding on to this idea that Cassidy was your emotional soulmate and I'm the practical option." His expression shifted, irritation calcifying into defensiveness. "Wow, you really went for the ugliest possible interpretation, huh?" "I went for the one you served," I replied, emotionally slow, colorblind. "Can't be taught. That's how you describe me to your friends." "You're being sensitive," he muttered. "You're not hearing it in context." "Sensitive," I repeated. "Right. Because if I were actually emotionally intelligent, I'd what? Laugh along?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Can we not do this tonight? I'm exhausted. It was supposed to be a fun night." "And it was," I said. "For you." He stared at me, then shook his head. "Good to know," he said quietly. The phrase landed between us like a dropped glass. I recognized it as dismissal, a verbal door closing. "Yeah," I said, "good to know." I left the dishes in the sink and went to our bedroom. He didn't follow. I lay on my side, facing the wall, listening to him move around the living room, the clink of bottles, the soft hum of the TV. At some point, he came to bed. I kept my breathing slow and even, pretending to be asleep. It was cowardly, but I didn't have any energy left for another conversation where I was expected to swallow my hurt and apologize for having it. The next morning, Sunday, was a masterclass in pretending. We moved around each other in the kitchen like coworkers in a crowded office. Dylan made coffee without asking how I took mine, even though he knew. I offered him toast in a voice so polite it might as well have belonged to a stranger. He tried a few times. "So, we're just not talking about last night?" "I don't know what else there is to say," I answered once. He rolled his eyes and grabbed his keys. "I'm going to run errands," he said. "Maybe we can both calm down." When the door closed behind him, I sagged onto a chair and let the facade slip. The apartment felt hollow, like someone had moved out without taking their furniture. At first, I just sat there, staring at nothing. Then I picked up my phone. Cassidy. I'd heard her name before, always with a mix of fondness and exasperation. The chaotic college girlfriend who'd blown up her life repeatedly and, eventually, their relationship. Dylan had always framed it as a learning experience. She taught me what I didn't want. Apparently, she'd also taught him what he still did want. I opened Dylan's Instagram and scrolled through the list of people he followed until I found a profile that matched what little I knew. Photography major, mountain photos, a city I knew she'd moved to. Her profile was public. The first thing I noticed were the photos. Hiking trails, rooftop bars, blurry concerts. The second thing I noticed were the comments. His comments. Little hearts under scenic views. Miss this, under a picture of a mountain sunrise. Remember when we almost got lost here? On a throwback. They weren't constant, but they were consistent. Tiny strings still tying them together. My stomach knotted. I put the phone down and stared at the ceiling, listening to my pulse thud in my ears. I felt less like a fiancé and more like a placeholder, something sturdy and dependable to come home to after he finished revisiting his favorite memories with someone else. By the time Dylan came back with grocery bags and a casual "hey," my answers had shrunk to one syllable. He noticed. Of course he did. "Seriously, Lydia, how long are you going to punish me for one stupid comment?" he snapped finally as we unloaded bags. "I'm not punishing you," I said quietly. "I'm processing." "Processing what?" he demanded. "That I had a dumb conversation with my friends? That my fiancé thinks I'm fundamentally inadequate compared to his ex," I answered, "and that he's still talking to her." He froze. "What?" "Instagram," I said. "Heart emojis, inside jokes. Miss this." His face went pale, then flushed. "You went through my phone?" "It's public," I said. "You went through your own phone and broadcast it to the world." For a moment, we just stared at each other across the kitchen counter, the space between us suddenly feeling enormous. He grabbed his keys again, jaw tight. "You know what? I need some air," he said. He left without another word. I watched the door close, exhaled a shaky breath, and sat back down at the table, the silence roaring around me. A few hours later, as the early winter light faded outside, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something in my gut told me to answer. "Hello?" I said. "Lydia? Hi, it's Mia. Mia Sullivan. We met at your place on Saturday." I remembered her. Warm smile, dark hair, one of Dylan's college friends. "Hi," I said cautiously. "Everything okay?" There was a pause on the line, then a soft sigh. "Please don't hang up," she said. "I know this is weird, but you need to know what Dylan told Cassidy today." My hand tightened around the phone. "What did he tell her?" I asked. Mia's voice dropped, heavy with apology. "He told her he might have made a mistake getting engaged to you." "Mistake how?" I asked, even though I already knew I wouldn't like the answer. On the other end of the line, Mia hesitated. "He called me earlier, freaking out about your fight. I told him he needed to be honest with you, that talking behind your back wasn't okay. He didn't like that." A hysterical laugh bubbled up in my throat. "I'm shocked," I said flatly. "He started venting," she continued, "about how you're a good person but not passionate, about how you make life easy but not exciting." Then he said something that made my skin crawl. I swallowed. "What?" "He said," she exhaled, "sometimes I think I made a mistake, you know. Lydia's stable, but Cassidy just gets me, emotionally. If she'd been less of a disaster, I'd probably still be with her." The words sliced through me, even though they weren't directed at me. I pictured him saying them casually, like he was reviewing takeout options. Mia pressed on. "He told me he's been talking to Cassidy again for a few weeks, that she reached out. He said she told him she'd grown up, that she realized she messed up when she left and she wanted another chance. He told me he's considering it." I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. "Considering what, exactly?" "Seeing if there's anything still there," Mia said quietly. "He said he loves you, but he doesn't feel that spark anymore, that he feels guilty settling, when maybe he and Cassidy were meant to be if timing had been different." The word settling hollowed me out. "So what?" I said, my voice trembling. "I am the safe placeholder, while he decides whether to chase his college fantasy." "I told him he was being an idiot," Mia said, her tone sharp suddenly. "That he was playing with your life like it's a test drive. He brushed me off, said he just needed time to figure out his heart." My heart, apparently, was a piece of furniture he could sit on while browsing other options. "Does Cassidy know he's engaged?" I asked. "Yes," Mia said. "He told her. She told him she didn't care, that if he still felt something, they should at least talk. He seemed flattered." I closed my eyes. It was suddenly hard to breathe. "Why are you telling me this?" I whispered. "Because I've known Dylan a long time," she said, "and I've seen him do this. He chases chaos, burns everything down, and then acts surprised he's standing in ashes. I can't watch him do that to you without saying something. You don't deserve to be his backup plan." There was a rush of heat behind my eyes. "Thank you," I managed. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know this hurts. If it were me, I'd want someone to tell me." We hung up a few minutes later. I set my phone down and stared at the wall. The apartment still smelled like the candle I'd lit the night before. Vanilla and citrus. Warm, homey, fake. I sat there for what felt like hours, thoughts circling like vultures. Stable but not passionate, emotionally slow, settling. Somewhere between Mia's call and the sound of Dylan's key in the lock, something inside me quietly rearranged itself. The grief that had been swallowing me made room for something else. Clarity. The door opened. Grocery bags rustled. His footsteps came down the hall. Hey, he called, like nothing was wrong. You're still here. I turned in my chair to face him. Where else would I be? He studied me, eyes narrowing. Are we okay? No, I said, we're really not. He sighed and set the bags on the counter. Look, Lyd, can we please talk like adults? This silent treatment thing is exhausting. I almost laughed at the irony. Sure, I said. Let's talk. He pulled out a chair across from me instead of sitting next to me, and the choice felt like a confession all on its own. I've been thinking a lot about what I said last night, he began, leaning his elbows on the table. About us, and yeah, it was messed up. I shouldn't have said that in front of my friends. In front of your friends, I repeated. That's your main concern? And to you, he added quickly. Obviously, I hurt you. I get that. I don't know, Lydia. I've been feeling disconnected lately, like we're not on the same wavelength. Because I make plans when you say you're stressed? I asked. Because I'm not chaos and drama? He winced. It's not that simple. There's this emotional layer we're not hitting. I feel like I'm talking to a wall sometimes. And Cassidy wasn't a wall, I said. She was a bonfire. His eyes flicked to mine, startled. What did Mia tell you? Enough, I said. Enough to know you've been talking to Cassidy for weeks. Enough to know she told you she wants another chance. Enough to know you're considering it. Color drained from his face. Mia had no right. She had every right, I cut in. You're playing two lives against each other and pretending you're in some noble emotional dilemma. His jaw clenched. I haven't cheated on you. Emotionally? I asked. Because arranging a trial run with your ex while wearing my ring feels pretty close. We're just talking, he snapped. I'm trying to figure out what I really want. That's not a crime. You're engaged, I said. To me. You don't get to figure out whether you actually want me on the side while you flirt with an alternate timeline. He scrubbed a hand over his face, frustrated. You're twisting this into the worst possible version. What's the best version? I asked calmly. That you're so confused, you accidentally told your ex you might have made a mistake proposing to me? That your poor heart is just torn between the woman who set your life on fire and the one who actually pays the electric bill on time? His gaze hardened. See, this is exactly it. You're practical about everything, even this. It's like you're analyzing our relationship instead of feeling it. This is me feeling it, I said, my voice shaking. This is me heartbroken and furious and trying very hard not to scream. He leaned back, crossing his arms. I didn't plan for this, he said. Cassidy reached out. We started talking. It brought up old feelings. I'm human. And I'm what? I asked. Collateral damage? His mouth opened, then closed. For a moment, he looked almost ashamed. Almost. I love you, he said finally. I do. But I don't know if love is enough without that connection. That spark. Then what are you waiting for? I asked, the words coming out quieter than I felt. I'm not going to beg you to stay. He looked startled. That's not what I... Do you want to be with me? I asked plainly. Or do you want to see if you can resurrect whatever you had with Cassidy? It's not a yes or no question, he protested. It's complicated. It's really not, I said. You either think I'm the person you want to build a life with, or you think there's a chance your ex is better and you need to explore that. He stared at me, eyes searching my face, like the answer might be printed there. I need time, he said at last, to figure it out, to see how I really feel without all this pressure. I nodded slowly. Okay. Relief flickered across his face. Thank you. I knew You can have all the time you want, I said. Just not with me still standing here waiting. He froze. What does that mean? It means I'm not going to be your safety net while you test the strength of another rope, I said. If you're not sure about me by now, after 4 years, then you're not sure. And I'm not staying engaged to someone who's shopping around. His voice dropped. You're overreacting. No, I said, I'm finally reacting. I stood up. My legs felt like they belonged to someone much braver. I'm going to pack a bag, I said. I'll stay in a hotel for now. We can talk about the apartment and the ring later. But I'm done being part of your decision tree. He stood too, panic flaring in his eyes. Lydia, come on, we're just talking. I haven't done anything. You've done enough, I replied. You told your friends I'm emotionally slow, and your ex understood you better in a week than I ever will. You've been talking to her behind my back. You told her you might have made a mistake with me. That's not fair, he insisted. You're throwing away our whole relationship over some conversations and a few bad comments. I'm recognizing reality, I said. You already threw it away. I'm just refusing to stand in the rubble pretending it's still a house. His eyes shone, not quite with tears, but close. So that's it? You're just walking out? Yes, I said, because I deserve someone who is sure about me, not someone rehearsing speeches for his ex. I went to the bedroom and pulled out a suitcase. My hands shook as I folded clothes, grabbed a few toiletries, my laptop. I expected myself to collapse at any moment, but some strange, steady part of me held. When I stepped back into the living room, Dylan was standing in the middle of it, ring of groceries still sitting unopened on the counter like an abandoned still life. "You're making a mistake," he said quietly. "Maybe," I said, "but at least it's mine." I walked to the door. "Lydia," he said, voice cracking just a little, "please, don't do this. Don't throw us away." I stopped with my hand on the doorknob and looked back at him one last time. "I wanted us," I said. "You wanted to see if you could do better. Those aren't the same thing." And then I left. The hallway smelled like detergent and someone's overcooked dinner. My suitcase wheels rattled against the cheap carpet. With each step away from our door, the ache in my chest throbbed harder, but beneath it, something else pulsed too. A small, fierce thread of relief. I didn't know yet where I was going, only that the first night of my new life would be spent somewhere that he wasn't weighing my worth against someone else's ghost. A cold blast of air greeted me as the hotel's sliding doors opened. I checked in with the kind of mechanical politeness people use when the alternative is falling apart in public. The receptionist handed me a keycard, smiled, and wished me a good night. I nodded, pretended I was a person capable of having a night that was remotely good, and made my way to the elevator. My room was small, tidy, anonymous. Neutral carpet, beige curtains, a bed with too many pillows, a space that belonged to no one, which somehow made it easier to breathe. I dropped my suitcase beside the bed and sat on the edge, elbows on knees, staring at the patterned carpet until it blurred. I had imagined heartbreak many times in my life, during movies, books, conversations with friends. I thought it would feel sharp, dramatic, loud. Instead, it felt like silence, like someone had unplugged a machine I didn't know had been humming inside me. I lay down fully clothed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the night. His laugh, the words emotionally slow, the look on his face when I said I was leaving. Each memory felt like a bruise I couldn't stop pressing. At some point near dawn, exhaustion finally dragged me under. Monday morning came with a gentle knock from housekeeping that I ignored, and a buzzing phone I didn't pick up. I showered, dressed, stood at the window, watching people rush to their jobs, their errands, their mundanely intact lives. Mine felt sidelined, suspended in a haze I couldn't yet see through. At 10 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I almost let it ring out, assuming it was Dylan calling from a different line. But something in me said answer. "Lydia, hey, it's Mia." I closed my eyes. "Hi. I wanted to check on you. I know yesterday was a lot." "That's an understatement," I said, voice thin. "You did the right thing," she said. "I know it doesn't feel like it, but you did." "Right for who?" I asked. "Because it doesn't feel good. At all." "For you," she said firmly. "For your sanity, your heart. Dylan has a pattern. He romanticizes chaos, then regrets it, then repeats it. You're not the first person he's done this to. And if you hadn't drawn a line, you would have spent your entire marriage wondering when the next time would be." I didn't respond, but she wasn't wrong. After we hung up, I ordered breakfast to the room. Eggs, toast, orange juice. I hardly ate. My hands shook so badly I nearly spilled the juice. By afternoon, I forced myself to do something I'd been avoiding, return to the apartment. Dylan wasn't home. The silence felt different now, emptier, like the walls knew I was leaving for good. I packed with the efficiency of someone who needed to finish before her courage ran out. Clothes, shoes, documents, my favorite mug, a few framed photos that now burned my fingertips to touch. I left everything that was ours and took only what was unquestionably mine. When I finished, I placed my apartment key on the kitchen counter beside a note. "We can discuss the rest this weekend. For now, I need space. L." The ring stayed on my hand, for now. I couldn't quite bring myself to remove it yet. It felt like admitting defeat, even though I knew that wasn't what this was. I left the apartment without looking back. Back at the hotel, I checked into a different room. Closer to work, better lighting, a desk where I could pretend to resume normal life. I crawled into bed that night and let the dark swallow my thoughts until sleep finally crept in. By Tuesday, I drifted through the motions of calling in sick, answering emails, sipping lukewarm coffee that tasted like nothing. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. Mia. I picked up this time. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I said honestly, "but I'm upright." "That's something," she said gently. There was a pause before she added, "I talked to Dylan today." My stomach tightened. "Oh?" "He said he tried calling you. I told him you needed space. He didn't take it well." I sighed. I'm not surprised. That's not all, she said carefully. Look, I think you should see something. See what? She hesitated, a long, uneasy silence. Mia? It's a screenshot, she said finally, from Cassidy's Instagram story. It was up for like 10 minutes before she deleted it. Cold dread rippled through me. Send it. Seconds later, the image appeared. Cassidy's text thread with Dylan, his name clearly visible. Dylan, we broke things off. I told her I needed to explore my feelings. Cassidy, finally, took you long enough. Dylan, can we meet this weekend? Cassidy, Saturday works. Dylan, perfect. I miss you. A hollow ache moved through my chest, the kind that didn't even hurt anymore because the hurt was too large to fit inside me. He had said all the right words to me. I love you. I need time. We can work this out. Meanwhile, he was already planning a weekend with the woman he claimed he didn't know if he wanted. My hand trembled as I forwarded the screenshot to him with one sentence. Hope you find what you're looking for. Within seconds, my phone lit up. Dylan, Lydia, please call me. Dylan, it's not what it looks like. Dylan, please don't block. I blocked him. Then email. Then messages through mutual friends. I blocked all of them. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, letting the numbness spread until the hurt felt faint and far away. Maybe this was how the heart survived. Not by healing instantly, but by shutting down the parts that hurt too much to touch. Wednesday morning, I forced myself into the office. My boss took one look at me and said, "Take the week, please." I didn't argue. That evening, my phone rang with a number I recognized. Dylan's mother. She had always been kind to me, so I answered. "Lydia, sweetheart," she said gently. "What happened? Dylan called us. He said you left over a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding. I closed my eyes. It wasn't a misunderstanding. "Oh," she said softly. "Can you tell me what's going on?" So I told her. Not everything. Not the screenshot, not the worst parts, but enough. Enough for her to fall silent, then sigh, then whisper. "I'm so sorry, that's not what he told us, at all." I figured. He said you overreacted to a conversation about an old girlfriend. He didn't mention any of this. Of course he didn't. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I already did it," I said. I walked away. She was quiet for a long moment. I think you're doing the right thing. I love my son, but he can be foolish with people's hearts." My throat ached. "Thank you. If you ever need anything, you call me, all right? You'll always have a place here." That cracked something in me. The grief of losing not just a partner, but an entire imagined family. Later that night, I ordered dinner and barely tasted any of it. I flicked through TV channels without watching. The world felt muffled, distant, like I was underwater listening to life happen above the surface. Then Thursday morning hit like a blow. Dylan emailed, a long, pleading message about choosing me, cutting Cassidy off, wanting to fix what's broken. I deleted it without replying. 5 minutes later, Mia called again. "You won't believe this," she said. Cassidy posted another story. Dread crawled up my spine. "Send it." This one was worse. It was a blurry photo of 2 coffee cups on a table captioned, "Reunited, finally." I didn't need to see who was behind the camera. Something inside me went very, very still. Mia whispered, "I'm so sorry." I swallowed hard. Don't be. He made his choice. And I would make mine. The next day, I signed a lease on a small, bright one-bedroom apartment with sunlight pouring through the windows and hardwood floors that creaked in a comforting way. A space that would be entirely mine. A space where no one would ever compare me to anyone else's ghost. Saturday arrived with the heavy, disorienting quiet that follows a storm, the kind where everything looks deceptively calm, but the ground is still soaked and unstable beneath your feet. I stayed in the hotel most of the day. Ordered lunch I barely touched. Scrolled through apartment furniture I wasn't ready to buy. Watched people on the street from my window. Parents pushing strollers. Couples holding hands. A man jogging with a dog that looked like a dust mop with legs. Life kept going. Mine was paused in a kind of slow-motion ache. By late afternoon, I gave myself one rule. No checking Dylan's social media. No checking Cassidy's. I deleted the apps from my phone, just in case. I wanted to protect whatever pieces of my heart were still intact. But protecting myself didn't mean I stopped imagining. I imagined them laughing over coffee, reminiscing about college nights. I imagined her leaning in, brushing his arm, letting him bask in the version of passion he'd always romanticized. I imagined him feeling wanted, craved, in a way he once claimed he felt with me. The imagination hurt more than the truth ever could. I forced myself to look away from the window and turn on a movie. Some comedy I'd never seen. I didn't laugh once. When Sunday rolled in, I woke to sunlight slicing through the flimsy hotel curtains. I sat up, hair messy, eyes swollen, and I realized the date on my phone. Exactly 1 week since the night everything cracked open. 1 week, and I felt like the life I'd built had been excavated out from under me. Around 2 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. My chest tightened. I answered without thinking. Lydia, a voice breathed, sad, familiar, frayed. Dylan. I closed my eyes. How did you get this number? I borrowed a friend's phone, he said quickly. Please don't hang up, please. I almost ended the call right then. But something in his tone, raw, desperate, held me still. What do you want, Dylan? Silence stretched long enough for me to hear him swallow. I need to see you, he said, to explain everything, in person. There's nothing to explain, I replied. I saw the messages. You chose her. That's the explanation. That's not, his voice cracked. It was a mistake. Everything with Cassidy, it was a mistake. A suffocating laugh escaped me. Which part? Telling her you needed to explore your feelings, meeting her this weekend, or her posting that photo? He inhaled sharply. She shouldn't have posted that. That's your concern, the post? Lydia, he said softly, please, I'm begging you, just hear me out. Why? I asked. Why in the world would I do that? Because I went to see her, he said, voice low and almost trembling. And I realized within an hour that I didn't want her, that the person I lost, the person I was stupid enough to push away, was you. I stared at the wall, expression blank. An hour. He had required 1 hour to realize his fantasy wasn't real. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He continued in a frantic rush. She hasn't changed. Not really. She's still impulsive, chaotic, everything I used to mistake for passion. We had nothing to talk about. Nothing in common except nostalgia. And I kept thinking about you, your laugh, the way you look at me when I'm stressed, the way you stabilize me. It was almost cruel how gently he said stabilize, as if he hadn't used that same quality to belittle me only days before. So you realized your backup option was better than your first choice, I said. Congratulations. He exhaled sharply, pained. That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened, I whispered. You wanted to try her out and see if she still made your heart race. And when she didn't, you came running back to the person who did your laundry and paid the bills and kept you grounded. You think that's all you are to me? He asked, horrified. That's all you treated me as. He made a choked sound. I love you. I never stopped loving you. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, and felt nothing. No flutter, no hope, just a hollow ache where love used to live. Dylan, I said slowly, you don't respect me. Yes, I do. No, I interrupted. If you respected me, you wouldn't have kept Cassidy a secret. You wouldn't have told your friends I'm emotionally slow. You wouldn't have called our engagement a mistake to someone else. I was confused, he pleaded. I was overwhelmed. You. I what? I snapped. I wasn't chaotic enough? I didn't give you enough drama? I wasn't loud or unstable or unpredictable? You wanted fireworks? I gave you quiet, steady warmth, and you decided that was boring. He was silent. His breathing was uneven. I wondered if he was crying. You love stability, I said. You love having someone reliable, someone who cares about you, someone who shows up. But you don't value that. You don't value me. You want excitement without responsibility, emotion without effort. That's not true, he whispered. I'm done, I said. And even if I weren't, I would never, ever be able to trust you again. He made a broken noise. Lydia, please, just let me... No, I said. No more chances, no more explanations, no more trying. Can I at least see you? He begged. Just talk face to face? Dylan. Silence. You made your choice, I said. Now live with it. And I hung up. I blocked the number. Then I set the phone down and exhaled so deeply it felt like I was emptying out months, years of tension. 6 weeks passed. My new apartment slowly transformed from an echoey box into a home. I donated old clothes, bought new sheets, set up a small reading corner by the window. The sunlight in the mornings was soft and warm, the kind that made the world feel gentler than it was. I picked up hobbies I'd forgotten I loved. I signed up for weekend pottery classes. I went to the gym more. I met friends for brunch without checking what time Dylan needed the car. I slept easier. One afternoon, Mia sent me a voice message. You probably already know, but Dylan and Cassidy broke things off. 2 weeks. She bailed on him after a fight. He's been telling people it was never serious. A pause. He's also been telling people you broke up with him because you're controlling and gave him an ultimatum. Thought you'd want to know. I listened, then deleted the message. I didn't care. The people who mattered knew the truth. And the people who didn't, let them believe whatever made his ego sting less. Sometimes grief didn't require confrontation. Sometimes peace meant walking away without defending yourself. I went on a couple of dates. Nothing serious, just coffee and conversation, and the quiet relief of realizing companionship didn't have to feel like a gamble. One evening, as I lit a candle in my new kitchen and stirred pasta on the stove, I caught my reflection in the window. I looked lighter, not healed, not yet, but stronger, grounded, more myself. I thought of Dylan, not with longing, not with hatred, but with a kind of distant pity. Some people chase intense moments because they're afraid of steady ones. Some mistake chaos for passion. Some never learn the difference between emotional depth and emotional volatility. He might figure it out someday. He might not. Either way, it wasn't my burden anymore. I rinsed my spoon, turned off the stove, and breathed in the aroma of garlic and basil, filling my small, warm kitchen. A life built on quiet didn't mean a life without meaning. Sometimes the most beautiful